This is Insta360's latest action camera, the Ace Pro 2. It boasts a 1/1.3-inch 8K sensor, dual AI chip for superior image quality, and one of the best options for action sports. However, I create content, and over the past 2 weeks, I've been using this camera to pretty much do exclusively just that. Vlogging, creating short form content, and even taking photos. Here's my impressions for anyone looking for a camera option to make content on. Now let me give you a really quick breakdown of some of the things that are exciting about this new camera. I already introduced that 1/1.3-inch 8K sensor, the dual AI chip for superior image quality. This camera also has leading low light performance with the pure video mode, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video. It has that 2.5-inch flip screen, which I love so much. It has a brand new active HDR video mode that goes up to 4K 60 frames per second. This camera can also do 4K up to 120 frames per second. It can do 8K up to 30 frames per second. It has some really exciting Leica color profiles, brand new log profile, brand new mega view. It has external microphone capabilities and also supports Bluetooth connectivity, and it has 50 megapixel photos.
I want to show y'all some of the accessories for the Ace Pro 2 because a lot of these have me really excited about using this for the process of creating content. Over the past 2 weeks that I've been using the Ace Pro 2, I've just been using this carrying case right here for all of the accessories, and they all fit right inside of this. Really digging the size of this. You can see it fits right in my palm, but if we open this up, dang, sheesh. We have the Ace Pro 2 right here in all of its glory. And then on this side of the pouch, we have this system right here that kind of just locks in whatever you throw in it, and it's pretty cool. So here we have the camera itself, the Ace Pro 2, and right now I'm using this cage system on it, which is in collaboration with SmallRig, and this thing is awesome. Now typically I wouldn't use a cage on a camera like this just because it's already meant to be rugged, but I really like this for the mounting options that it gives you, and I'm gonna show y'all that in a second. Also really like how easy it is to get the camera in and out of the cage. You literally just snap that off and then you can slide it in and out, which is pretty convenient. On the top of the cage, you have a cold shoe for different accessories like microphones or lights. At the bottom, you still have access to your magnetic mounting. And then you also have a cold shoe right here on this side as well for another accessory. I've been using it paired with this quick release mount right here, and this thing right here is awesome. You can see right there in the middle, you have a 1/4 20 thread for different accessories, but you also have the feet that flip up to give you the typical action camera mounts. Another thing I think that's really dope about using this cage with this quick release system is that you can also attach it to the side of the cage as well. So if you want to film some vertical content for shorts, you can do that also. But aside from that, I also have this microphone adapter, which is pretty cool. It allows you to mount a regular microphone to the Ace Pro 2, which is pretty cool. Then we also have this multi-mount, which is in collaboration with PGY Tech. I use this a ton shooting a music video with the Ace Pro 1. I'll link that video down in the description below for the people who have not seen that, but that was also an amazing action camera as well. So on a day-to-day, the setup will look something like this. The Ace Pro 2, the cage, the microphone adapter, some sort of small microphone, and the multi-mount, just for day-to-day content creation. Feel me? Looks clean. One thing that I've always really admired about action cameras is just how simple it is to get shots where you have to mount the camera in unusual places, like inside of cars, outside of cars, in very small spaces, filming behind the scenes, POV shots. All of these things I find are where action cameras really shine. And you can always count on the stabilization to just be A1 in those situations as well. To be completely honest with you, I don't play many sports other than me going out and shooting basketball from time to time. I don't have a use for an action camera in the action sense of things. But I think that the form factor, the resolution output is one of the reasons why I feel like this is a great camera to start creating content on. Now there will always be the argument of you just using your phone to start creating content on, which I don't argue with. I think that that is actually a viable option as well. However, the thing that I have a problem with when using my phone to create content is that if I want to utilize the best possible resolution, which is the back camera, I just can't see myself. I can't see what's going on. I think at the very least having a camera like this as a companion in your kit makes total sense. I know like 99% of y'all were not here when I started this YouTube channel, but I actually started this channel on an action camera. I remember it like it was yesterday. That sounds like such an old person thing to say. But now I actually started this YouTube channel on a GoPro. I believe it was a Hero 4. And the reason I decided to go with an action camera to start the YouTube channel, biggest reason was because I was broke. I couldn't afford to actually get a mirrorless camera. That came later down the line. But aside from that, I was doing music video production, and the majority of the content that I wanted to film and put on this YouTube channel was behind the scenes. And it just made sense. I needed POV shots. I didn't have much money. I didn't have somebody to come around and do behind the scenes all the time. And I knew I wanted to actually document my journey as a person who was gonna be out here creating things. I vlogged on my GoPro. I did a lot of POV music video behind the scenes content. And at that time, action cameras were not advanced. I don't think that camera had stabilization. I didn't have the option to add a mic adapter to get good audio. I was just really out here thugging it. And now we got action cameras where I can flip the screen up. I can see myself. It's amazing stabilization, 8K video recording, the option to actually have good audio. Man, it's actually crazy where we are right now with technology inside of cameras. At that time, I did have a GH4, so I did have a mirrorless camera option that had a little bit more quality, and I could actually do some professional looking stuff with. But for YouTube content, me being on the go, me making music videos, and this being a side venture that I wanted to get into, I did not want to invest the amount of effort and time that it was going to take for me to actually get good looking shots on a GH4. Had zero autofocus with the lenses that I was using, and I just did not want this to take me out of my element. I feel like an action camera keeps you very level-headed on camera. You're not doing too much because you don't feel intimidated. The camera is literally tiny. You can take it anywhere. You don't feel embarrassed out in public with it. It just made so much sense to me. And now we're at a point where you can actually get good audio. And for me, I feel like that's all that matters when you're creating content, as long as you have a story to tell. Like, man, it's so crazy to me, man, that we can actually get this quality of footage and this be so accessible to everybody who wants to get into it. It's just an exciting time to be a creator, man.
Life of a legend, just a day in the life. Might slide on ya, I ain't staying the night. I ain't pick cards, I'm just playing them right. Photo shoot tomorrow, they gon' pay for the flight. Amazing the height I'm able to reach from just rapping. Get it all legit, my so trapping. Catch me in the lab, I'm the player with the game plan, and I stick to it. We are really not the same, man. Nothing make
This camera offers a bunch of different frame rate options. I tended to stay at that 8K 24 frames per second just because I like to utilize the most amount of resolution. It can do 8K up to 30 frames per second. It can do 4K all the way up to 120 frames per second. And it can do 4K up to 60 frames per second using that new active HDR mode. I don't really film slow motion that much anymore. Back in the day, I used to use 120 frames per second for everything. But in this day and age, 4K 60 frames per second tends to be where I max out at. I tested it out a little bit shooting basketball. I think that is cool. I also like the fact that you can go in between those primary frame rates as well. So if you want to do 48 frames per second or 36 frames per second, you can also do that as well on this camera, which I think is pretty cool.
But the thing that I really like about action cameras are the aspect ratios. So 4:3 is one of my favorites because you have that option to not only get a 16:9 wide aspect ratio, but you can do vertical as well from that, which I like a lot. The Ace Pro 2 can film in a handful of different, I guess, view styles. You have linear, you have D-Warp, you have Ultra, and then you also have Mega, which is the widest. Now I'm filming in Mega right now, and the thing that actually is very impressive about this is that it has minimal distortion. Like, if I didn't tell you that I was filming in the widest possible setting right now, you probably wouldn't even know. Like, look at this line back here with this wall. It looks extremely straight, and the buildings on the side don't look warped around. Like, it actually looks really good to be this wide. It's probably really loud in here, but as y'all can see, I'm just using the multi-mount. The thing that I am really like in love with about the Ace Pro 2 is just the stabilization. You can see I don't have a gimbal, I'm literally just walking. And look how stable the footage is. I'm panning up, I'm about to look straight up in the air, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do like a full 180 turn, just holding it stable in my hand, ninja walking. And the footage is like as stable as a gimbal, bro. Like, this is straight up insane to me. Footage looks really good. Throughout this video, I've been using a combination of microphones, one being the DJI Mic 2 and the other being the Rode Video Micro 2. I think the audio sounds amazing, and I think that it's awesome that they have this microphone adapter for the Ace Pro 2, but they've also improved the audio internally as well, which I want to test out right now. So pre-installed on the Ace Pro 2, they have a wind guard microphone cover. I want to see how it sounds. So right now I'm on the DJI Mic 2, I'm gonna unplug it, and then we can hear how it sounds internally. So this is the internal audio out of the Ace Pro 2 with the brand new wind resistant cover. It's not unusual ambience around me. It's a little windy and this should help combat that, but they also do have a wind resistant setting inside of the camera that I don't have on right now. I think that this should sound good, but it's going to be really interesting to hear the difference between the two microphones.
Let's talk about the photo experience on this camera. This is something that genuinely surprised me. Like, I expected to just, snap a couple pictures and they just look cool, similar to what you get off a phone. And I mean, honestly, cell phone photography right now is also amazing. But these pictures right here, I liked a lot. One of the biggest things that I liked about these photos that I wasn't expecting to, I really like the distortion on them. Like, obviously you can go in and correct this distortion inside of Lightroom, but I think that it gave it a really cool, unique vibe. I really think that these photos offer you a good amount of push and pull as well, which is very surprising. You can look at some of these photos, like when I took them, they look extremely dark and I was a little bit skeptical, like, am I really gonna be able to pull these shadows back or, adjust this exposure how I want to? But I actually got a good amount of range that I can do with these pictures. Like, the shadows in some of these pictures were like pitch black. Like, I was like, it's no way that this camera's gonna be able to pull these tones back. And to my surprise, you actually could. I took these at 50 megapixels. These are raw images, so you still got all of that different information for the white balance adjustment if you want to do that after the fact. You also get a full range of adjustments you can do with the colors. The pictures are vibey, yo. I'm actually really surprised with these. The process of taking the pictures is very simple as well. I also really like the gesture control too. I think that that's dope, and it makes the process of you shooting yourself really easy. All right, and let's talk about that pure video mode. This is the mode that you're supposed to turn on when you're in extremely low light situations, and the AI inside of the camera is supposed to do its thing to give you a lot of really good noise reduction inside the footage. The thing that really surprised me about using this mode is how good the colors tend to render regardless of where you are. A lot of these shots were extremely dark. They don't look that dark on the camera, but I'm telling you, like, these were some very dark shots. And the colors that are coming out of the camera still render really well. Now you can see a lot of that noise reduction going on inside the camera, but I think that this looks better than having something that looks extremely grainy. Another thing that really surprised me about this pure video mode that I thought would not be the case is that the stabilization is still extremely good. Like, I was expecting that to be the thing that was gonna fall off or cause some weird ghosting effect inside of the footage. But I'm walking with this camera in pitch black darkness, and you can see that the stabilization is still performing just as good as it was when I was walking down the alleyway. Like, this is insane to me. I think the processing inside of this pure video mode is impressive. And to be able to get good quality low light shots like that off a camera this small is actually really impressive, man. I had quite a bit of experience using the Ace Pro 1 last year. We shot a music video on it, and the low light shots on that camera were really good as well, man. So it's really cool to see them carry forward that good low light performance on the Ace Pro 2. Now, a couple other aspects I want to touch on before I get up out of here. The first one is the active HDR mode. This thing actually works really well too. You can see like these shots right here where I'm inside of my car, you can still get full dynamic range of everything that's happening outside the windows, and I'm exposed really good. This tends to work really well. But another thing that I noticed is that even if you have this off, this camera has a really good dynamic range. Another thing that I love about this camera that I briefly talked about in the photo section is just the gesture control. I love being able to just throw up a peace sign or, wave my hand and start, stop recording. It makes things really easy when you're filming yourself. If you're doing behind the scenes or trying to take pictures and stuff like that, gesture control is awesome. Another feature that I want to touch on that I had minimal testing with is the log profile. I used it to film a short. It was cool. I didn't have much problem grading it down. You get a cube file that transcodes the footage into Rec 709. You could do your coloring and stuff on top of it. What I will say though is I tend to like the colors that just come straight out using the standard because it's easier and they're already vivid. But it's cool to have a log profile there if you want to test it out. And the last and final thing I want to touch on is the AI editing. Inside of the Insta360 app, you can pair your camera, you can select all of the clips that you want to, and this will literally edit down a montage of footage for you using AI, which is crazy. I can see this being really useful for turning back edits or just creating social media content. You have the option to go in and tweak clips if you want to. They have tons of different editing templates. They have music inside of the app as well that will match your clips to the music. It's actually pretty cool. You also have the option to adjust the different aspect ratio that you want it for. So if you want 9:16 to do vertical stuff or 16:9 for horizontal, you can do that as well in the app. But that's really been my experience using the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 over the past 2 weeks. I think that this is such a solid option for people who are trying to get into content creation. I think even if you do have a camera set up already, this is a great companion option. And for me, I just always like to have an action camera. Even though I'm not using it for action sports, I find these to be so freaking valuable and so convenient when you're trying to film behind the scenes content, when you're trying to film those really rare and unusual shots like car mount shots, but you don't want to rig up an entire system to do it. These come in handy for that. And I've been using this a ton just to film like vertical content for short form as well. Like I find that with the explosion of short form content, little cameras like this that you're always gonna want to bring with you just make that process so much funner, man. I said funner, so much more fun. I think that this is a solid option, man. It's gonna be links down in the description below for the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop it a like. If you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. But with that being said, I'm out, y'all. Peace.